In the previous episode, we explored the transformative power of the Great Compassion Mantra. We reflected on how sincere recitation is not simply a repetition of sacred sounds, but a living practice that gradually softens karma and opens the heart. When compassion becomes steady, fear begins to loosen, resentment slowly dissolves. The mind grows clearer. We learned that the mantra is not magic from outside, but a reshaping of consciousness from within. As the heart aligns with compassion, life itself begins to shift. Today, the Sutra continues this unfolding, but it moves from inner transformation to something even more tangible: protection in the midst of human vulnerability. It speaks not only of awakening, but of how compassion safeguards life in visible and invisible ways. In Episode 5, Avalokiteshvara Bodhisattva continues speaking before the Buddha in the stillness of the sacred assembly. The atmosphere is silent, reverent, and deeply attentive. This time, his words become very specific. He declares that those who sincerely recite the Great Compassion Mantra will avoid 15 kinds of unfortunate deaths and will receive 15 kinds of auspicious rebirth. These are not vague promises. They are clear assurances spoken from compassion itself. The great beings in the assembly listen without movement. Heavenly beings remain still. The teaching now shifts from the vastness of a great vow to the intimacy of daily life. Compassion is not only transcendence, it is protection, it is karmic transformation expressed in lived experience. And here are the words of the Sutra, spoken from the heart of great compassion. Then Avalokiteshvara addressed the Buddha. World-honored one, if gods and humans sincerely recite and uphold the Great Compassion Mantra, they will not encounter 15 kinds of unfortunate deaths. What are these 15? Those who uphold this mantra will not die from hunger and extreme deprivation. They will not die from imprisonment, chains, or violent punishment. They will not die at the hands of enemies or from deep-seated hatred. They will not perish amid the chaos of warfare, where weapons clash and lives are taken without mercy. They will not die from attack by wild beasts or savage animals. They will not die from the bite of poisonous snakes or venomous creatures. They will not die from being swept away by water or consumed by fire. They will not die from ingesting poison. They will not die from harm caused by toxic insects or hidden dangers. They will not die in states of madness, confusion, or mental derangement. Their minds will not collapse into chaos at the moment of death. They will not die from falling from trees or plunging from mountains. They will not die through curses or malicious intent from harmful individuals. They will not be destroyed by malevolent spirits or dark forces. They will not die from severe and devastating illness. And they will not die by self-inflicted harm or through acts against their own life. Thus, those who recite and uphold the Great Compassion Mantra are protected from these 15 kinds of unfortunate death. What, then, are the 15 kinds of auspicious rebirth? Wherever they are reborn, those who uphold the Great Compassion Mantra will encounter benevolent and wise rulers. They will be born in peaceful lands, free from turmoil. They will live in favorable times, when conditions support growth rather than destruction. They will meet good friends, companions who guide, encourage, and uplift them. Their physical faculties will be complete and whole. and their spiritual aspiration will be mature, steady, and sincere. Their hearts will naturally incline toward the path of awakening. Wherever they are reborn, they will not violate moral discipline. They will dwell among harmonious relatives who share kindness and gratitude. Their daily necessities, food, clothing, and essential resources, will be sufficient. They will be respected and supported by others. Their wealth and treasures will not be stolen or unjustly taken away. Their wholesome aspirations will be fulfilled. Heavenly beings and protective forces will quietly guard and assist them. Their lives will unfold within a field of unseen support and steady protection. Wherever they are reborn, they will have the opportunity to see the Buddha and hear the Dharma. And when they hear the true teaching, they will awaken to its profound meaning. Thus, those who sincerely recite and uphold the great compassion mantra will receive these 15 auspicious rebirths. Therefore, all gods and humans should continuously recite and uphold this mantra. They should not grow careless, they should not become lazy, for steady practice nurtures steady blessing, and sincere devotion opens the way to protection and awakening. When the Sutra speaks of 15 unfortunate deaths, we may first imagine physical danger, hunger, war, illness, poison. But the teaching of compassion often speaks in layers. These deaths are not only about the ending of the body, they also describe the many ways a human being can die internally, through fear, hatred, confusion, or despair. A person can be alive outwardly, yet inwardly exhausted, fragmented, or spiritually numb. The great compassion mantra protects not only physical life, but the integrity of consciousness. Let us gently explore the deeper meaning of each of these 15 deaths. Death by hunger is not only physical starvation, it is a life starved of meaning, starved of love, starved of connection. When the heart feels empty, even abundance cannot satisfy it. Death by imprisonment or violent punishment symbolizes being trapped in guilt, shame, or rigid self-judgment. One can live in an invisible prison constructed by one's own mind. Death by enemies or deep-seated hatred represents living in constant hostility. When resentment dominates the heart, peace cannot survive. And death in warfare symbolizes inner conflict, when opposing desires tear the mind apart. Compassion gradually dissolves these internal battles. Death by wild beasts or savage animals can represent being overwhelmed by primal fear, the survival instinct that reacts without wisdom. Death by poisonous creatures or venom symbolizes subtle negativity, small resentments, jealousy, harsh words that quietly poison the mind. Death by fire or drowning may reflect emotional extremes. Fire is uncontrolled anger. Drowning is overwhelming sorrow. Death by poison or toxic harm represents harmful influences, ideas, environments, or relationships that corrode inner stability. The mantra nurtures awareness so that these forces lose their power. Death through madness or mental confusion symbolizes losing clarity. When awareness fades, the mind becomes chaotic. Death by falling from heights may represent sudden spiritual collapse, losing humility, falling from pride, or overestimating one's strength. Death by curses or harmful intent can symbolize absorbing others' negativity without discernment. Death by malevolent spirits represents destructive thought patterns. fear-based beliefs that whisper constantly. Death by severe illness can symbolize long-term emotional wounds that remain unhealed. And death by self-inflicted harm reflects despair, the moment when hope disappears. Seen in this way, the 15 unfortunate deaths describe the many forms of inner collapse that human beings experience. The Great Compassion Mantra does not merely promise external safety. It cultivates a compassionate field of awareness that stabilizes the mind. When compassion becomes steady, fear loosens, hatred softens, confusion clears, despair begins to thin. Protection arises because consciousness changes, and when the heart is rooted in compassion, even in difficult circumstances, the spirit does not die. If the 15 unfortunate deaths describe the ways the spirit can collapse, then the 15 auspicious rebirths describe the conditions in which the spirit can flourish. The Sutra does not stop at protection from darkness. It goes further. It reveals the environments, relationships, and inner qualities that support awakening. Avoiding inner destruction is only the first step. The deeper blessing is to be placed, again and again, in conditions that nourish wisdom, stability, and compassion. These 15 auspicious rebirths can be understood not only as future lives, but as the quality of life we cultivate even now. To be reborn where one meets a benevolent ruler symbolizes living under wise guidance. It may mean meeting good teachers, ethical leaders, or mentors who shape one's path positively. To be reborn in a peaceful land means dwelling in an environment where fear does not dominate daily life. To be reborn in favorable times suggests alignment with opportunity, a period when growth is possible. To meet good friends is one of the greatest blessings. Spiritual companions protect the heart from loneliness and confusion. Compassion draws us toward relationships that support awakening rather than derail it. To be reborn with complete physical faculties symbolizes functional wholeness, a body capable of practice and participation in life. To possess a mature spiritual heart means that aspiration is no longer fragile. The desire for truth becomes steady. To naturally uphold moral discipline reflects inner integrity. One does not struggle constantly between impulse and conscience. To live among harmonious relatives represents emotional support. Relationships not ruled by conflict or resentment. When compassion deepens, external harmony often follows. The inner field begins to shape outer circumstance. To have sufficient food and resources means freedom from constant survival anxiety. Material stability creates space for spiritual growth. To be respected and supported reflects trustworthiness. When a person lives with integrity, others feel safe near them. To be protected from theft symbolizes security. What is earned is not easily taken away. To have wholesome wishes fulfilled means desires become aligned with wisdom and therefore naturally ripen. To be protected by heavenly beings can be understood as unseen support, the natural protection that arises when one lives in harmony with compassion. The highest of the 15 blessings is to see the Buddha and hear the Dharma. This may mean meeting authentic teachings at the right moment. To hear the true Dharma and deeply understand it is the rarest fortune. Many hear teachings. Few truly awaken to their meaning. Compassion refines the mind so that wisdom can penetrate. Thus, the 15 auspicious rebirths describe a life placed repeatedly in conditions that support awakening. Protection prevents collapse. Blessing nurtures growth. Together, they reveal the full promise of the great compassion mantra. How does protection actually happen? Is it a miracle from outside? Is it a reward granted by an unseen power? The Sutra invites us to understand something subtler. Compassion is not only an emotion, it is a state of consciousness, and every state of consciousness generates a field. When anger dominates the mind, it creates tension. That tension influences speech, behavior, and decisions. When fear dominates, we act defensively. But when compassion becomes steady, it generates a different field. Calm, attentive, and less reactive. This field influences the kinds of circumstances we attract and the way we respond to what arises. The great compassion mantra is not superstition. It is a discipline that gradually reshapes awareness. Through repetition, the mind becomes familiar with gentleness instead of aggression, familiar with patience instead of impulse, familiar with care instead of indifference. Over time, this shift changes perception. We begin to notice what previously went unseen. We pause where we once reacted. We choose differently where we once followed habit. When consciousness changes, karma begins to change. Because karma is not fate. It is the unfolding of repeated patterns. Change the pattern, and the unfolding shifts. Protection, then, arises from alignment. When the heart aligns with compassion, actions become less harmful. Less harm means fewer consequences of harm. Clearer awareness means fewer reckless decisions. Steadier emotion means fewer destructive reactions. This is not magic. It is resonance. Like tuning an instrument to a harmonious frequency, the mind begins to vibrate with stability and kindness. And from that resonance, the conditions of life gradually reflect that same harmony. The mantra does not control the world, it transforms the one who meets the world. And in that transformation, protection naturally unfolds. After describing protection and auspicious rebirth, the sutra concludes with a gentle but firm reminder. Do not become careless. Do not grow lazy in practice. This final line is deeply important because the human mind is easily inspired, but just as easily distracted. We may feel devotion today and forget tomorrow. We may recite the mantra during difficulty, but neglect it when life feels stable. The teaching reminds us that protection is not random, it is cultivated. And what is cultivated requires consistency. Compassion grows through repetition. Clarity deepens through continuity. Occasional recitation may bring comfort, but steady recitation reshapes the mind. Like water falling gently on stone, daily practice transforms what seems immovable. Mental stability is not achieved through intensity alone. It is formed through rhythm, through returning again and again to awareness. Moral clarity does not arise from one moment of insight. It grows from daily alignment between thought, speech, and action. Karmic protection is not granted once. It unfolds gradually as patterns of harm are replaced with patterns of compassion. In modern life, distraction is constant. Speed replaces reflection. Reaction replaces awareness. To not be lazy does not mean harsh discipline. It means remembering. Remembering to pause. Remembering to breathe. remembering to return to compassion even when tired, even when discouraged. Daily practice stabilizes the nervous system. It softens reactivity. It strengthens discernment. Protection, then, is not superstition. It is the natural result of a mind trained in compassion over time. Steady practice becomes steady presence, and steady presence becomes quiet protection in the midst of life. And here is how the Sutra comes alive in daily life. Today, we may not face wild animals or battlefields, but the 15 bad deaths still exist, just in different forms. Burnout is one of them. Working non-stop. Carrying too much. Smiling outside, but feeling empty inside. Chronic anxiety is another. Always worrying, always preparing for the worst, never truly resting. Isolation is also a quiet danger. We can have many contacts on our phone, yet feel completely alone at night. These are not physical deaths, but they slowly drain life from the heart. Toxic competition is another form. Comparing income, comparing success, comparing appearance. Life becomes a race with no finish line. Emotional collapse happens when pressure builds for too long. Too much responsibility, too little support, too many expectations. And sometimes, the most dangerous one is self-destructive thinking, the quiet voice that says, "I'm not good enough. I always fail. Nothing will change." These thoughts can slowly damage self-worth and hope. This is how people suffer today. Not through swords or poison, but through stress, comparison, and inner criticism. So, what does the Great Compassion Mantra mean in modern life? It means creating a daily moment of calm. It means pausing before reacting. It means speaking kindly to yourself when you make a mistake. It means remembering that your value is not measured by productivity. When you recite the mantra regularly, the nervous system begins to settle. The mind becomes less harsh. You start to respond instead of react, and slowly, burnout softens. Anxiety eases. Self-criticism weakens. Protection today does not mean a life without problems. It means a heart that does not break every time a problem appears. If the 15 bad deaths describe the ways a life can slowly collapse, then the 15 good rebirths describe the conditions that allow a life to grow in stability and wisdom. This is not superstition. It is cause and effect. When the mind becomes less reactive, decisions become wiser. When decisions become wiser, life gradually becomes more stable. Emotional resilience, for example, is not something we are born with. It develops when we practice calming the mind instead of feeding fear. A person who trains in compassion daily does not avoid difficulty, but responds differently to it. And that difference changes outcomes over time. A supportive community is also a form of good rebirth. Why? Because when we practice compassion, we communicate differently. We listen more. We react less. We judge less quickly. Over time, this attracts healthier relationships. Healthy family relationships are not accidental. They are built through patience, clear boundaries, and emotional steadiness. When inner chaos decreases, outer conflict often decreases too. The Sutra speaks of being reborn in peaceful lands and meeting good friends. In modern life, this means creating and choosing environments that nourish growth instead of draining it. Financial stability is another modern expression of auspicious rebirth. Not extreme wealth, not luxury, but enough stability to reduce constant survival stress. When the mind is less impulsive, spending becomes wiser. When emotional extremes soften, long-term planning improves. Karmic protection often looks like better decisions repeated consistently, and better decisions create steadier results. This is alignment, not luck. Compassion reduces self-sabotage. Clarity reduces reckless choices. Over time, stability grows. Meaningful spiritual connection is perhaps the highest form of good rebirth. It means having a practice that grounds you when life becomes uncertain. It means encountering wisdom at the moment you most need it. Access to the right teaching at the right time can change the direction of a life. But notice, we recognize wisdom only when the mind is ready. The mantra prepares the mind. It trains attention. It softens ego. It increases humility. So, when truth appears, we can receive it. This is what the Sutra means by seeing the Buddha and understanding the Dharma deeply. So the mantra becomes a daily refuge, not because it controls fate, but because it reshapes the one who participates in fate. We do not need 1,000 arms to fix the world. We need one steady heart. A steady heart creates steady speech. Steady speech creates healthier relationships. Healthy relationships create supportive environments. Supportive environments strengthen resilience. And resilience protects life from collapse. This is the logic of protection. Compassion stabilizes consciousness. Stable consciousness reshapes karma. Reshaped karma reshapes life. Before we end, let us pause together for a few quiet moments. If you feel comfortable, place one hand softly over your heart. Allow the shoulders to relax. Let the jaw soften. Take a slow breath in and gently exhale. There is nothing to fix, nothing to achieve, just this simple moment of being present. As you continue breathing, silently recite within, homage to great compassion, Avalokiteshvara. Let the words move slowly, like a calm wave rising and falling with your breath. No force, no urgency, just a quiet remembering of compassion. Now gently imagine a soft light surrounding your body. Not a dramatic light, not something distant or mystical. Just a warm, steady glow, like early morning sunlight resting on still water. This light is not here to remove all difficulties. It is here to remind you that you can walk through them without fear. Feel this light as inner steadiness, a stable center that does not panic easily, a calm presence that remains even when circumstances change. Let the breath continue slow and natural. Let the heart feel supported from within. As you rest in this feeling, notice that protection does not mean a life without challenges. It means a mind that does not collapse at the first sign of difficulty. It means remembering compassion when anger rises, remembering patience when pressure builds, remembering kindness when self-criticism appears. Take one more slow breath in and gently release. When you are ready, allow your awareness to return to your surroundings. Carry this steady heart into your daily life. You do not need 1,000 arms. One calm, compassionate heart is enough to walk this world with quiet strength. As we end, remember this simple truth. True protection is not something granted from outside. It is cultivated within. It grows from a heart that practices compassion daily. It strengthens through discipline, through awareness, through sincerity. The mantra is a guide, but the heart is the ground. May your practice be steady. May your mind be clear. May your heart remain gentle. And we will continue this journey together in the next episode.